I didn't utter a peep when they shoved that eviction notice under my nose. I just eased the 1898 water rights deed across the scarred oak table and watched 32 cookie-cutter palaces morph into reluctant bayou views. The Elmwood Heights HOA figured they could snatch my granddad's ranch while I was knee-deep in the sands of Iraq. These self-righteous pencil pushers erected their flawless cul-de-sac kingdom on pilfered soil, complete with pickleball courts and busybody enforcers zipping around in neon carts. What they never clocked? I'm a Marine Corps engineer. That modest dirt berm on my spread had sat idle for 42 years, itching for fools dumb enough to plop downstream. Their nerve was something to savor, right up until I cranked the sluice gates wide and let their dream suburb gulp its inaugural dose of honest-to-God inundation. Man, the payback? Pure poetry. Where you tuning in from? Holler in the comments, 'cause you're fixin' to soak in the slickest HOA smackdown ever, laced with U.S. water statutes and the unrelenting tug of gravity. Let me lay it out straight. I'm Alex Harlan, 36, Marine Corps engineer, and the fourth-gen steward of 52 acres of sun-baked Texas dirt, smack on the fringes of San Antonio. My granddad, who we dubbed Gramps, scooped this gem in 1949 when San Antonio was more dusty crossroads than booming sprawl, and taquerias outnumbered startups by a country mile. Gramps was the salt-of-the-earth type, hands calloused from wrangling fences, heart big as the horizon. He figured in 1974 he slapped together a basic earthen dam on our plot. No frills, just solid know-how to harvest runoff for the herd and ease the thirst of folks down creek in lean times. The Corps even sketched the blueprints with him. Gramps would rumble, low and gravelly, that one day the far pasture might fetch a fortune. But for now, it was prime, undulating grassland, where we grazed steers and I cut my teeth on a .22 rifle. Then hit my pair of Iraq rotations, where I got schooled in hydrology and fortification. Turns out rigging aqueducts and taming flash floods in hellscapes drills home how water's the real gold, and how fast folks'll claw for their share. While I was dodging IEDs on my last stint, Gramps slipped away quiet-like. The ranch slid into a trust run by my big-hearted but buried-in-Boston sis, Emily, who wouldn't know a lien from a lien holder if it bit her. She outsourced to a podunk outfit, Rio Realty, for bills and brush clearing. Taxes auto-deducted smooth. But Emily? She never cracked open the appraisal report. Rookie move. Cue the antagonist. Victoria Vicky Langford, 54. Queen Bee of Elmwood Heights HOA. The sort who pilots a pearl-white Escalade and swaps sundresses for power suits like it's a wardrobe war. Vicky's got that honeyed venom southern gals honed to a razor's edge by 40. You know, the grin that says bless your heart while she's twisting the knife, all sugar-coated as neighborly advice. She's hitched to council hotshot Victor Langford, which spells out her playbook in neon. She's infamous for revitalization drives, code for purging any soul who smudges her picket fence utopia. That cloying rosewater waft can't fully cloak the stale Marlboro haze and airs of inherited superiority trailing her like a bad debt. I rolled stateside in July 2022, bone-tired but buzzing to reclaim Gramps' acres. Bumped down that rutted caliche lane, past the gnarled pecan where I'd etched AH-99 as a scrawny punk, braced for the familiar sway of meadows and that dam glinting like fool's gold under the Lone Star blaze. Instead, bulldozers snarling, rebar skeletons clawing skyward, and orange flags stabbing my back 40 like shrapnel. The grit crunched fiercer under my boots, a metallic tang of rage coating my throat as I stormed the site boss. "Afraid not, Chief," he drawled, eyes sliding away like oiled glass. "Permits squared. This here's Elmwood turf. Cops rolled up. Deputy Lopez, shifting uneasy, laid it out. The HO aide lodged an adverse possession grab while I was humping gear overseas. Old statute meant to keep weeds from winning, but now it's HOA catnip for gobbling turf. That's when Vicky materialized, puttering in on her golf cart throne, voice dripping molasses. "Darlin', y'all ghosted this eyesore. We're gilding it for the greater good." But what lit my fuse nuclear? Her crews rerouted the feeder stream to Gramps' dam. The reservoir was bleeding out daily, 42 years of stewardship evaporating like spit on mesquite. As I perched there, gut churning at the plummeting gauge, her zinger lingered. Should have planted roots closer, G.I. Joe. Damn if that didn't carve deep, not just theft, but erasure of everything Gramps poured his soul into. I grabbed the nearest suit. Idiot call. He hit me with $92,000 to contest the rezone. While I bled for flag and freedom, Vicky's hubby Victor rammed through a crisis overlay, flipping our ag preserve to tract housing turf quicker than a backroom handshake. But here's where my core grit paid dividends. While that bloodsucker lawyered for retainers, I burrowed into clerk files like diffusing ordnance. And brother, the payload? Pure dynamite. Unearthed Gramps' 1974 build docs, elegant as a well-oiled M4. He'd collabed straight with the Corps for basin regulation and deluge defense. Boom! Uncle Sam's thumbprint, untouchable by county busybodies. My pulse hammered like incoming fire. This leaped from squabble to stars and stripes showdown. But hold up, it sweetens. Rifling microfiche vaults, I hit pay dirt, a 1898 water deed. My great Gramps' crown jewel, grandfathering riparian claims to the full Rio Seco Basin. Older than statehood squabbles, predating municipal taps, outlasting every vinyl-sided eyesore on my dirt. They weren't just poaching soil, they were gutting our lifeblood. Meanwhile, Vicky played the martyr card hard. Whipped up a panic HOA huddle on the lethal levee, roping in a news van she'd greased. I caught her on the 6 o'clock feed, primped on her azalea-bordered stoop, cooing about toddler peril and Hamlet harmony. "We're fretting for our little one's sake," she sniffled, dabbing silk with Kleenex. "That relic's a heartbeat from havoc with Cribs Creekside. Local hacks eat drama, but skip homework. If they dug, they'd see my dam aced its quadrennial once-over spotless." Undeterred, Vicky flooded next door, that virtual busybody brigade where HOA czars peddle paranoia. Her blast flagged hostile holdouts and erratic elements prowling. No tag on me, but in a burg that tight, it rang like a dinner bell. August haze choked with exhaust and creosote as I paced my veranda nightly, tallying fresh footings under floodlights. Their rush to roof before I could lawyer up? It gnawed like dry rot. The dam's mirror shrank inch by inch. That's when I pinged my old platoon mate, Mike Harlan, no relation, just fate, who pulls EPA watchdog shifts now. 15 minutes on the horn schooled me sharper than that suit's syllabus. "Alex," Mike growled, "they're hijacking a riparian run sans Uncle Sam's nod? Clean Water Act smackdown. And your corpse-stamped berm? That's our ace." I kicked into overdrive. Cams ringed the fence, geotagged snaps of every shunt, cubic foot tallies at 4 Creek bends. Emily rang from Beantown, voice cracking. "Sell out, bro. Don't let it break you." But cash? Nah. This burned for the boot prints, scarring sacred sod. Vicky's stilettos clacking corrupt halls. The acrid sludge of archive brews unmasking the rot. Above all, Gramps' dam, a quiet guardian quenching kin through famine and freshet for 42 years. Vicky's vandals, reducing it to a lily-pad lagoon for latte liberals. Texas water deeds, ancient as Comanche lore, tougher than deed to crude and a bear to pilfer, if you swing savvy. Gazing at yet another mixer moaning by my bay window, Epiphany hit. This duel wouldn't drag through robes and writs. This'd hinge on blueprints and ballast. Vicky cranked the boiler next, mobilized a vigilance vanguard, 4 bored goons in khaki polos, squatting my gate like toll booths, snapping plates, logging guests, snitching to the constable on shady stir. Classic coercion. Blast country tunes during my fence mending. Noise ordinance tickets. My 58 bungalow, solid as Gibraltar. Eyesore summons. Septic greenlit half a year back. Bio blitz. The gut punch. Victor weaponized his dais to trigger a check-in via vet outreach, framing me as a powder keg PTSD case. The counselor who knocked was kind-eyed, clipboard in tow, but thorough as a cavity search, with Vicky rubbernecking from her buggy like a drill sergeant. Then the red tape raid. Zoning zealot, blaze boss, sanitarian, and varmint wranglers stormed, synchronized, unearthing nitpicks, demanding fat fixes. The arbiter, Victor's barfly, deemed my stoop $9,500 shy of seismic. I sniffed the shakedown instant. Same psyop as insurgent squeezes. Drown 'em in forms till they fold. But quid pro quo, y'all. As they paper-bombed me, I dialed up. Mike lit up at whispers of unpermitted wetland whoop-de-doos. Any stream swap needs Fed's blessing, even on deeds. Penalties? $55,000 daily starters. Dawn's dew-kissed pour woke me to ticking clocks, but my sleuthing, yielding gold veins Vicky'd never mine. Their sprawl? Planted in core-mapped 100-year slosh zone. Carriers balked policies till HOA hawked a safeguard scheme. Shunt Rio Seco Eternal. Dump deluges on my spread. Pro tip, faking flood fables for premiums? Not slap on wrist, felony wire schemes. Deeper dives? Vicky's old gig in Dallas coughed $2.8 million to EPA for mirror image streamjack. She bolted pre-feds and rebranded here, hunting fresh marks. Vicky? Busy bad-mouthing my psyche and saber rattling. She sicked a gumshoe on my service ribbons, rallied a drive to brand my ranch a blight buyout. Playgrounds pulse nearby, she wailed to the rag. Can't abide loose cannons endangering Eden. But her hustle? Rallying roost mates. I linked with HOA scars via Reddit rants. Blueprint of her blitz. 6 swipes in 4 years. Each a blitz of browbeat, hounding, haul hacks favoring Victor's build firm. Teamed with widow neighbor Mrs. Patel, whose heirloom veggie patch parched post-pivot. Linked with Raul Mendoza, whose Clan Croft got gerrymandered to ghosts by Victor 2 springs back. No flukes. These were syndicate sweeps, years brewing. The quake of graters through my floor joists, daily dirge to my stake. Mornings, mixers mauling my vista. Dusk, logging the larceny withering Gramps' gift. But I armored up, plumbed meters at berm outfall and shunt spots, crunched the purloined pour, 1,500 gallons daily, $52,000 yearly in farm flow value. Fingering silt samples, heart heavy as lead. This wasn't heist, it was Holocaust for habitat, writ large. Then the sealed summons. Berg-eyed eminent domain, snatch for safety's sake. Confab in 10 days. Vicky's press plug? Gotta shield the flock from its fringes. But bunking at my sill that eve, thunderheads brooding, I spied not peril. Promise. Vicky nuked it. Victor turboed the taking tribunal, 10 days off, and HOA dangled $210,000 for turf, taxed at $975,000. Ultimatum screamed, grab the crumb or crater. The broadsheet blasted shell-shocked squatty stalls suburbia, snapping my homestead like a hoarder hell and me ragged as a refugee. Vicky's coup? Staged sob fest. 25 fretful moms cradling tots by my barbed wire. Pro-photogy framing my cabin as a coven spire. The Instablast blew up. Hashtag shield our spawn. Our tots merit sanctuaries, she crooned to Fox affiliate, not war ghosts' grudges. Spot on, sorta. Iraq gifted me pattern spotting for Psy-War steamrollers and the chops to counter flood. Mike rang with Game Changer. EPA'd greenlit a probe on Rio reroutes off my prelim beef. Twist? Vicky's Dallas dust-up drew that $2.8 million whack for same sin. Feds tail perps cross state lines. As she virtue signaled online, I exposed her fiscal facade. HOA bonds hinged on puffed appraisals, lenders locked on locked-in aqua. Yank those deeds? Her enclave sinks solvent. Irony scorched sweet. They'd siphoned my stream to spike their stakes. Now avarice aquaplanum. Vicky's cracks showed. Floated 450,000 hush-hush, 36-hour fuse. I stiffed. She jetted to Boston, pitching Emily a sob on my Spectre strain. Epic fail. M knows her blood. She buzzed me, giggling through gasps. Alex, some nut in athleisure hawked aid for my haunted hero, bro. Told her next pings, G-men. But as Vicky bred foes, I forged phalanx. Hooked with eco-attorney Laura Bennett, water war wizard on contingency. We rallied rivulet robbed. Raoul unearthed 1850s flow logs proving his forebears farmed that feed since Republic days. Mrs. Patel proffered 30s glossies of her pater's plot. Verdant, via same vein, now Vicky's vanity pond. The Audubon crew perked at shunt-slain songbird sanctums, trashing endangered avians mid-theft. Feds flock fast. Midnight patrols, old jarhead jitters, unveiled treasure. Gramps' berm hit a crisis cascade with sluice stops, dormant since '79. The subterranean gurgled during test flushes. Gospel. Viable, vetted for this. Measured monsoon to reclaim riparian rhythm. I reckoned the refill quota for Rio's rightful route, 3.2 million gallons. Reservoir brimmed 3.5, courtesy cloudbursts. Algebra aligned, but chronos critical. Drone sweeps charted slab sites to antique arroyo, 6 pads paved primal poorpath, 4 cellars sub-seasonal surge. Glory? Their faux flumes, faux stone vanity, pretty posers, not flood-forged. Mine? Core-calibrated cascade. Then Vicky blundered colossal. Her goons grouted granite walls to seal the old bed eternal, neutering my notch, nuking downstream delta. But gave me gilt-edged grounds for the gully wash. NWS forecast. September soakers, ideal upkeep alibi. At berm brow at gloaming, thumbing Gramps' log on drought aid, resolve riveted. Unleash the locks. Rummaging registrar relics, fourth go-round unearthed a gem. Tucked in 75 levy ledgers, the prime prairie poor packed from Gramps' graft. Phrasing pure. Berm tenders to uphold innate monsoon marches, safeguarding downstream ranch rights eternal. Not nod, it mandated monsoon mimicry, HOA hui, and Munich Pal metal be damned. Laura's litmus lit more fuses. HOA hazard bids bald-faced bogus. Swore nil-nile risk, shunt sanctified by suits for 52 million shield. Factoid. Fibbing feds on eco-exposures? Not oopsie? Postal peril? Pen time standard? Probes peeled the onion. Victor's outfit? Not mere mason? Major money man? Every foundation funded his flush. And? Zero recusal from deist decisions doping his dough. Mike mulled EPA evals that boiled my bile. Shunt-smoked whole Guadalupe gar colonies, state fish famed in Rio for epochs. TPWD tallied the toll, but misplaced, in Victor's drawer, pre-penalty ping. Not nabbin' acres and aqua, annihilating arc. Laura's lender leaks? Loans leached on sham surveys, swearing shunt temp till tidy. Pledge to repave post-poor. Reclaim rights? Whole works whiffs Fed fund rules. Banks bellow $14 million recall. Then attic archives. Gramps' scrawls, 76 ink aching. Loosed locks, quenched Mendoza spread, and quartet kin through thirst. Kinship's the keep. Heart splintered. Berm wasn't bankroll. It was bond. Buoying block through barren and baptisms. Perusing, fury fused with filial fire. Vicky'd vaporized not dirt or drink, but 4 decades fellowship Gramps forged fence post by furrow. My metrics matched hunch. Vicky's veer brewed backwash bombs in blows. Shunted surged swamp splits. Primal path policed pour for precinct. My sluice soul salve for storm surge. Squeeze? Savage? September swells slated heaviest in 8 years. Linger on law's languish? Natured napalm anyway, wrecking real roofs? Strike swift? I'd script the swell. Sluice showcase sans scourge, spotlighting HOA heresy. At sluice station at sunset, Gramps' gospel gripped, ethics electrified. No vendetta now. Reclaim right, sustaining sod for spans. Vicky'd vaporized local legacies. Raoul raised his root ranch. Mrs. Patel's patrimony pined parched. 4 folds fleeced to Victor's vital grabs. But feds floated sight next moon. Prime if I piped primal pour pre-peak, nailing breach barrage. The reek of relic ram oil at rig recalled resilience. Gramps geared it for guardians like me, to guard gully and guild. As cumulonimbi clotted, call crystallized, exalt Elias's ethos, loose the latches. You don't breach a berm blind. This was op with ordnance umbrella, eco-endorsement, block backing. First, squad up. Laura orchestrated offense, lodging layered Fed filings for flashbulb flood when floodgates flew. Mike manned Fed flank, vowing EPA eyes on our primal pulse demo. Raoul rounded 45 years ranch ruin, witness to monsoon marches proving pivot poison. Mrs. Patel pledged plot for prep, prestige as precinct pillar. Laura's law lore? Luminous, urgent ag aqua reclaim writ, citing berm bond bound me to monsoon for meadowmates. Lawful, not lawless. Insight, ag aqua antecedes abode annex, ironclad if annals affirm antiquity. Blueprint, core cannon, I blueprinted breach ballet. Dawn draw at 5:30 a.m., ramp over 3 hours, crest 8:30. Volume vetted to Vogue vintage vigor, nil to note, but Vicky's vice versa vaults. Safeguards sacred, alerts aired 18 hours ahead, firehouse flagged firsthand. No rampage, a regimented reveal of runoff's right road. Laura looped green journos from San Antonio Express and tube teams. Raoul rustled ranch kin to rubber stamp aqua aid. Playbook plain, preempt propaganda, pre-Vicky's villain vet vortex. Recon? Reconnaissance raw. Mrs. Patel piped HOA hum via hen network. Grannies grind grapes to gold. Taqueria teller, Raoul's Tia, tattled tribunal tete-a-tetes. My Pendleton pal piped pixie perch for proof. As I rehabbed rig with fresh rams, Laura launched Ledger Lash. Pinged polices on phony policies, primed Fed finance frisk on fund fudges, prepped Quitam on Victor's vested votes. Sync? Symphony. Skies spat storm in 60 hours. Laura locked Fed frisk same span. Raoul roped range rep to log lowland lift. Tempest trifecta, sky salvo, sovereign scrutiny, sod solidarity, hitting harmonic. But Vicky's vibe, volatile under vice, so I braced her blowback barrage. Alarm assembly, airwave ambush, maybe muzzle via magistrate mate. Laura limbed counters crisp. Cash crucial, collaged current crook, captured crofter cries, corralled 40s frames of flush flume and freshet flare. Laura lodged all in Fed dockets for armor. Shields, firefoil, Finca folk facts, bilingual blasts, evac sketch scripted. Not needed, just nobility nod. Econ endgame Laura's lane, leaked to state script scrutinizers on build bond bunk, tipped Texas top cop on shield swindle, plotted pattern plaint. Nugget, tandem tribunal tug topples quicker than solo suits. Foes flail on flanks. The whiff of lube and linkage laced late light as I limbered levers low flow flawless. Gramps graven it granite. Stashed siege stores, wise to Vicky's vice. Laura lodged lockdown on legit berm busywork. Coded comms, mil-spec squawk, as I finalized fix, firmament fomenting, fate fused, skies stormed in 36, Fed's fleet in 30, Vicky's venom slot in 18, likely libeling my lucidity. Zenith 0, Aurora absolved acres and 42 years yoinked yield. Vicky's vice veered vicious, vaulted varmint wranglers on my verge, not mall malcops but Blackwater bros moonlighting, mistaking manor melee for mout. Cams clocked 'em crass, 1:30 a.m., one oaf ogling to occlude outfall with mortar muck, pal look out, Mica'd mustard marshal, Sergeant Garcia ghosted in gloam, collar clean. Safeguarding suburb sinew from psycho, Mr. Plate Carrier pleaded, but bagged binds hard to hawk at witching. Vicky's vid vendetta? Vainier, spotlighted on SA Sunrise, sainted in silk, quaver-quipping Paul speak for pity. Heroes crave counsel, not cataclysms, she whimpered, hanky to hawk. This soul schooled sluice as siege in Iraq, now Nile nuking nurseries. Victor vouched vast breach peril as civic sage, amnesia on 42 flawless Fed files, but my overwatch? Windfall logged every lunge, every lawless lunge, every exhibit etching cabal. Mike mulled Fed taps on Victor's vault. Vipers more vexed than visioned. Lit litany landed. Victor vaulted veto vigil at 4 a.m. Next, banking blindside. Honcho Harlan Hayes, Victor's 18K donor dart, dug the dire defense dash. Laura latched the larceny link, lodged oust-off instant. Knew the kink, though, if law lagged, they'd lock via leech judge. Meantime, Vicky vectored peril posse to pen my plot. 22 HOA holdouts with lawn loungers, libations, number fortify the future placards, scheming to stream sluice as eco-terror. Frame flawless for her fable. Soccer squads versus shell-shocked sluicer. But Raoul rallied 35 ranch relics to root for ranch refill right. Mrs. Patel plotted pushback with period prints of pristine poor. Laura lured land trust and Greenpeace goons. Dueling dogmas dawn. Damaged doughboy drowns domiciles versus a kin reclaim riparian realm. Tech terror ticked up. Tape tallied tamper. Slurry sludge stuffed sluice seam overnight. Rigged for real roar if released. Not nudge. Negligent near manslaughter masked as mischief. Hauled through haze with handheld howitzer. Hacking hindrance. Heart-hammering horror at their hubris. Chief Hayes, town's last straight shooter, hushed heads up. Alex, you 4 hours for fiat forces my hand. Hustle holy. Shield shakeout struck sublime. Laura's lures lit state scour. Texas tight yanked all Elmwood aegis, sands cover. Cruise canned cold. Purse pinch pricked prime. Mike muscled Fed gaze up 12 hours on verified vandal vibes. Uncle's crew inbound 7 a.m. sluice sink. Sovereign seal on sluice savvy. But Vicky's valediction? Vilest, vectored vet psyche squad, alleging auto-erasure alerts for psych snatch. VA voyeur hit homestead at 4:45 mid-muster. Had to him health while hydrating hood. Not your average aggro AM, Emily echoed, throat thick. Can't orphan again, Alex, please. Not Gramps' ghost. Teetered, then unearthed Elias's endnote on bully busting, spine steeled like rebar. Oft you overflow the trough to tend the tributary. At 6:58 a.m., Feds framed in forenoon flame, I eased outfall to 20%. Symphony sublime, not savage spate, but soft susurrus of stream-seeking source. For first in 16 moons, Rio reclaimed cradle as creator carved. Raoul crouched creekside, palms pooling pristine, salt-tracing furrows. This quenched my abuelito's acres 7 decades strong, he husked. Vicky's volley, volcanic, foreseen, bayed at badges to bag the brigand, poise peeling like poster paint. EPA envoy Elena Torres tuned tranquil. Madam, this man's mandated to marshal Meadow Monsoon via his mandate. But Vicky voxed viral on Vine, hysteria honing. He's hydro havoc on air's hearths. What war wrought on whims? Save the surge? Scribed no scour, no sinks swamped, just Rio resuming route, her realmed rashly rebuffed. Skycam swirled, piping poor prime time. Express scribe quizzed quaffed quadras on quenched quota when Vicky wedged, this trooper's turning tactics on townsfolk. Fourth Estater foxed, ma'am, moisture's marching antique arroyo, precisely how's this onslaught? Felt her fiction fracturing live. Victor vituperated to Honcho Hayes via hotline, howling holdings and handouts. Lunatics liquidating leagues in lucre. Forgetting Laura, live logged from limestone steps. Lone Star lore. One-side sanction suffices for Snoop, and you're it. Core confirm. Chef's kiss. Torres tabulated torrent, tallied twin to 2 score seasonal scrolls. Mike memorialized, primal prior to 21 pilfer. Feds favor flows fancy over fancy footings. We're writ real. Mrs. Patel's patch pipes plumped prime in 16 moons. 4 fincas flagged full fill for flocks. Bodega Baron brewed brew and buñuelos, beaming. Pops plowed here. This here's harmony. Even Vicky's vanguard? Vanished veiled as verity dawned. No Noah's nonsense, just nature's nod. Tough to torchade when tempest's just tributary trekking true. Shield shatter sped. Build baron bagged ban from brass. All toil tabled pending phony probe. Vicky? Viewed her villa vault voided via vice versa vows. Fiscal flood fiercer than forecast. But she swung savage. Squawked Victor for haulers to haze the highway. Victor, vetting nil from NAB, dispatched 4 tumblers to tumble their toll transversal. Feds felled drivers flat for Fed foil. Thwarting Uncle's eco-edict? Felony frontier, not fine print. Tech triumph? Textbook. Torrent tempered to tend agro and aviary. Nil nook nixed. Rio roved rutted right. 42 freshets faithful. Marine metrics? Masterful. Paul Poltergeist. Prompt. Councilman Lopez landed, lambasting Victor's lame exit. Scandals scorched our skyline, he spat to scribes. Your toast. Feds fan to Rico rack for realm raid ring. Mike murmured post. This the tracer for trial torch? Nectar? Vicky clocked her $2.8 million stake, sludge sand swindle stream. She shrieked shoreward. You've gutted 32 flocks? Retort rolled raw, resonant for reals. Naw, ma'am, I revived realm. Your kin can cop claims kosher, like kinfolk ought. Vicky vapor trailed threats of Titan togs, tales for tabloids. As Raoul's Ramo rolled with Rajas and refreshers, Mrs. Patel poured puja for pure pour. Profound peace bloomed. No nemesis, this nexus, Gramps nurtured neighbor by neighbor, thirst by torrent, grace by grit. Press pivot pure, green gilds glorified sluice as salve sample. Veteran Viles village morphed, kinfolk conquer creek crook. Truth? Trickles true as tributary to turf. Honcho Hayes's hall at noon, jammed like jalapeno jubilee, press packs, plowmen, HOA holdouts, Fed phantoms packed pews, stragglers straining sash. Air crackled cabal comeuppance. Vicky vaulted with velvet verdict squad, Dallas dynamos, damage dons, firepower for fort. Swapped spandex for somber sheath and studs, martyr mask molded. I ambled with Laura, chambray crisp, Gramps' Stetson shadowing, comfy conkers clad, benches bisected like bad blood bash, HOA hive left, clutching number haven for heirs, homestead heartright, rough hands resolute. Vicky's vicar vaulted vivid, flashed filthied footings, flogged $3.1 million monsoon mall from my maneuver. Paraded shrink sight unseen, scripting shell-shock spite sprees off op-eds. "My lord," he menaced, "mead me like mass murderer. This fractured fighter's forging floods as feud finale. He's hydro horror on hearth and home. Murmurs mounted till Laura launched rebuttal. Rolled 74 ranch refill right, mandating monsoon. Torres testified torrent tuned to 2 score tides. Nil notched. Frames framed flow flush with 6 decades dance. Capstone. Fed fiat finale. Water writs wallop whiff claims. Core and clean crew crowning. Then Mike mounted. EPA exec eviscerated Elmwood's eco-edicts. 3 statutes shredded. Shield sham. Songbird slaughter. Hayes hemmed. Hashing if Hayes hug worth Hoosgow for hobble. Hammer. Laura hauled Victor. Vow bound. Confessed crisis carve while I campaigned abroad. Spilled stake in slab syndicate. Audio aired. Assets annihilation rant. Rick raved rogue. Fed frame up. Flailing for flaps. Unwitting witness to web. But gut grip? Guild gospel. Raoul recited root realm raised by reroute. Timbre cracking on Abuelo's arid end. Mrs. Patel pictured plot pre-pivot plush. Post parched. Poise pierced sharper than plaint. Blaze boss backed breach bossed blemish free. Downstream deeds dug drink deliverance. Then Vicky voiced, valediction vain. War warped him. Worship, she wailed, waggling. Vengeance on Vestals via vet viciousness. Kids' psyches pillaged. Swore sluice sabotage, styled as eco-evil to erode equity and etch trauma. Laura lured me. Hush held as I handed Gramps' gospel. 40 years give back graph. Grounded gauge genius. Gazed haze. Sire, I nixed no nests. I nursed a Nile nabbed from nest and niche 42 years. Clincher. Laura laid last lash. Dallas dust up docks. $2.8 million EPA evisceration for eco crime. Fed firebrand flared interstate irrigation intrigue. Chamber caved as cabal canvas cleared. Haze, hemmed, then hammered. Quashed all quench quests. Crowned sluice sacred and salubrious. Hogtied HOA on Fed fray metal. Jab at Victor? Jagged. This bench bars Fed flood foil. As Uncle's ushers ushered Victor, vault vultures served subpoenas. Vicky vortexed by vultures. Voiceless. Vaulted to Veta, likely listing locales. I iced amid whoops from wranglers, watchers, wayfarers witnessing writ large. Laura leaked Rico Ripple at Raw Rally. Raoul revered for realm robbed. My Mike? Minimal? Nemesis? Nah, noble by sod and souls sustained. 5 moons on, justice juiced like julep. Victor vowed vice, varnished 4 years vaulted. Vicky? 9.4 million mend, merged with mendicant mob swift as sluice spate. Build block bled $13 million to Mike's masters, barred from brass bids. HOA, huff to haze, holdouts hatched habitat hive overhaught. My mound? Minted $1.3 million post-Fed flag, greener than greed's grid. $380,000 shield skim? Sown sage, snagged Raoul's route at repo rate, restored rife. Eco-elevate, edges out estate every time. Block bloom. Boss, reborn Rio reels rod and reel, rookery rambles, raft romps where ranches rude. Mrs. Patel's patch, primer for permaculture, plot proud. 4 fincas flaunted fattest fallow in dozen dawns. Taqueria, truce tent for Rio Revival Roundtable, plotting pushback on fat filters. Eco Excel, exalted. Gar gaggles geysered to 20 gauge in 3 moons. Land League logged 14 featherfolk fled back to Fen. TPWD pinned poor as paramount passage, padlocked perpetual. My maneuver? Mint in marine manual. Mastery in measure. Soulside? Serenity I scarce sensed. Rehabbed Gramps' Greystone Green. Emily exiled east to co-pilot our Orchard Odyssey. Laura and me? Litigating larceny links lovers lethal. Wake widened wide. Green Guards graft Rio rubric to rebuff reroutes region round. Feds footnote our fray in flow fiat fresh. I'm ad hoc advisor for anti-association anguish. Line lit lively. We wrought Gramps' Harlan habitat handout for hinterland hydro-hopefuls. Raul's Niña Rosa reeled first, now navigating Nat Psi at A and M. Vowing vein vigilant from Vicky variants. Yearly Rio romp rights, reclaim and rally. Regional relish, realm rhetoric, returnee relief. We reap for riparian redress roll, rescuing 7 spheres from syndicate swipe. Prime perk? Punks paddling poor where pads plotted. Plunging in pure pulse, 'cause posse prevailed. Sundays? I slope to Gramps' glade, gifting gourd of gush like his gauge rambles post-pour. Cheers, Elias, I confide. Rio's rhyming renewed, right as rain. Bequest buffer? Boundless. Rio reserve realm, ropes realm reigns, ring fencing from raw rush eternal. No nabber nips this nectar anew. But zinger? Vicky's Dallas den drew Domino Rico off our deed. 162 souls span 4 spans Sioux same salve. Solo soldiers stand? Swell to surge for sod salvation, national. From finca facing, firefall framing Rio's rightful ramble, reminder rings. Some scraps? Soul spendin'. Oft you overflow the gulch to guard the gully, but not lonesome. With cohort comrades, crew convinced clean current crowns, communal, not cronied cash, or crooked caucus clout. Battle in block bully, biosphere bash, or brass browbeat. Buckle not, blueprint all, bond brethren, bank bylaws backen when you bulwark loam for lineage. Spill your block bogeyman yarn below, I devour each, dash replies when duty dips, 'cause crusades crest communal. Smash sub if saga of sod saviors scorin' on sleaze sings to ya, and recall, roar resonates, referendum rules, Rio reigns. Next, saga of sprawl that snagged my sidekick's windworks, so she snuffed street lamps at Soup's soiree. That's torque twist, one tinker turning torch off town titans. Aqua arcs, amends arc, alliances ascend. Rio runs rampant, rebels, and reckon it shall.